Now, in every family, there is always one individual in the family called the black sheep. Usually, these guys have also been known to be the scapegoats of those families. So those are the guys who get it. You know what I mean? They're the guys who get it. They're the guys who can really see what is going on within the unit. Things that other family members can't see. You know what I mean? So on top of that, the black sheep, they are the individuals who also first get themselves to awaken. They're the first ones to awaken. You know what I mean? So they awaken from that dysfunction that is actually eating up the family. Usually they're the first ones to awaken, so they snap out of it very quickly. And most of the times, they leave so many family members behind. So they leave a lot of other family members behind. Other guys don't know what is going on. They've figured it out. Most of the times, they're still coming to that conclusion of what is happening on around them. But other family members in that unit, they do not get it. But you see, one thing what happens is when the black sheep awakens to the truth of having been a black sheep and to the truth of also having been involved with the dysfunctional family unit. So what usually happens is the black sheep, they go into shock. You know what I mean? So this awakening causes a very, very massive shock. Number one, within the black sheep themselves, and later on, that shock spreads on to cover the entire family unit. So that's why you see a lot of times people will start using some terms against you. You're crazy. You're funny. What are you talking about? Your eyes are lying to you. Whatever you're saying is not the truth. So you'll hear a lot of gaslighting going on within those units, because a lot of family members, they don't understand what exactly has just happened. They just feel that all of a sudden you've snapped. You're going into rampage. Most of the time it's a very chaotic moment, so sometimes they can feel the chaos that is going on within your life, and they can't get it. So what goes on is that as the chaos is happening, as the panic is going on, the black sheep, now what happens is that they start to reach out to so many family members in the unit. So they are reaching out to their dads. Hey dad, listen, this is what is going on, this is what I've discovered. Or they are reaching out to the mom. They could be sometimes reaching out to the brothers or the sisters, and now they are warning those individuals that, hey, listen, you guys need to be aware that our parent, father or mother or whatever, they are narcissists, they could be sociopaths, or they could be psychopaths. So they are now trying to warn other family members about what is going on, because they are finally awakened to it. They used to see it before. Many times ago, they used to see it. They would figure it out, but they did not have a particular word, how they can call it. But they used to feel there was something not ordinary going on in that unit. So they've awakened. Now they are running to family members. Brother, listen, something is going on. You know what I mean? I've discovered this. You know what I mean? I've done my research, and I found out that the dad or the mom, those individuals, they are toxic, they're like this, they're like this, they're like that. So now they're trying to explain that particular situation to the family members. And believe me, guys, you may not really blame those guys when they start to call you crazy, because a lot of those guys, like I've said, they are still asleep. They have all been conditioned in a certain way, so they cannot really see and figure out what is going on. So as much as you try to explain, nobody's getting you and nobody understands you. So that's where all the name calling starts. The smear campaign will start, of course, because the narcissistic parent, usually they'll run around, start smearing your name within the family members. And sometimes you'll see a lot of name calling. Don't listen to that guy. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to her. Don't listen to him. They are crazy. They don't know what is going on. They don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So there will be name calling, and you'll be usually taken for a joke. But you see, for a black sheep, those individuals, like I've said you guys in my videos, you've heard me saying, those individuals, because of the fact that they endure very long periods of abuse. So what happens is that they have usually spent a lot of times silenced. So they've never been validated, and most of the times the black sheep, they have always also sometimes been alone by themselves, because they usually used to feel that their opinions or whatever was going on wasn't validated. So they were usually invalidated in those families. They were usually invalidated. Now what goes on is the black sheep, they'll walk away. Those individuals, I've told you guys, those guys, those black sheeps, the only reason why usually you guys have been scapegoated and you've been the black sheep of a family, that is because you've been the strongest. And most of the times, a lot of family members and people around you, they were actually afraid and intimidated by your light, number one, and by your strength. So they knew on a very subconscious level you were stronger because they would see you fighting all these battles and coming out on the top. So the black sheep will usually leave the unit. They will step out of it. They will just say, okay, so whatever is going to happen, happen. So they step out of the unit. Because the black sheep, one thing what happens is that the black sheep, when they ever realize that they have always been taken for a ride, they're going to step out of whichever situation they have been involved with. So they're going to wake up and go. So that is why you see the scapegoats, they will now exit the toxic family unit. Because eventually nobody gets them. They're trying to explain things, people are calling them crazy. They're trying to explain, people are calling them mad and things like that, and a lot of smear campaign is going on. So they usually walk away. But in this video, I want to let you guys know that walking away is not enough. So because when you walk away, you're also going to realize as a black sheep, as a scapegoat, that there's a lot of healing that has got to be done. You know what I mean? So a black sheep normally will wake up and go out and they will go into a full-blown healing process. Because now they will realize that for the entire time they have been involved with those units, they have always been abused and they have always been taken advantage of, and they have always been taken for a ride. So they will walk out and start healing. And I can guarantee you guys, again, I'll always say it again and again, healing from this kind of families, departure from those kind of families is very, very intensive. So for me personally, I think it took about a year. Because you're trying to process those things in your mind. You're trying to understand what exactly just happened. How come that your father turned out to be a narcissist, your mother turned out to be a narcissist, or these kind of things. They were toxic, they were abusive, and these kind of things. So you go through a very full-blown healing process as a black sheep. But you see, the thing is, as you process the healing, as you go through the healing, as you sit by yourself and start to discover things and try to heal and try to calm down and try to get back in touch with yourself, there is always something what will come to your mind as a black sheep, as a scapegoat. One thing you realize is sometimes you will feel bad as a black sheep. You will feel bad that actually you have walked out of the unit eventually, but at the same time you have got other family members behind there. You know what I mean? Because we're talking about blood. A lot of us have been conditioned to believe. You'll hear families talking about things like, oh, blood is thicker than water, we should stick as a family and things like that. So at the end of the day, you've left that family. You know what I mean? And there is still that little bit of conditioning within you. You're thinking that, oh, these guys are my family, so what am I going to do without them? You're thinking that you're by yourself. All of a sudden, you're by yourself. You do not know what you're going to do with yourself. So sometimes you'll have that concern in you, within you, that will tell you that you're wondering in your mind, will those family members ever wake up? Will they ever actually come to that realization? Will they ever wake up? How will they even do it in the first place? Will they ever wake up to the fact that family is dysfunctional? And most of the times, the black sheep, that's where the guilt comes in. Because normally, when you walk away from those units, you're also going to start becoming, you will usually start feeling guilty about leaving the entire unit. So you feel guilty about the decisions you've taken. You feel bad about them. You left people behind. You don't know if it was the right decision. You're fighting with yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes a lot of guys, they're beating themselves up. They're like, have they done the right thing? You are usually fighting in your mind. How come you've left the unit behind? You're suffering, number one, because in the early days, I've told you guys, in the process of mourning, when going through the healing, before the healing happens, first of all, you go through the mourning. So you mourn the loss of the entire family. And most of the times, the mourning also is very intensive, because at the end of the day, you are like thinking, you want to go back, you know what I mean? Sometimes your father is calling you, oh, how come you're not calling us? How come you're not coming for the birthdays and the parties like this? Come around, let us have a dinner together, because they know that you've left. But eventually they want you to come back and take that position of a black sheep. So they're usually sucking you back in. So usually what happens is that you're feeling very, very guilty, because a black sheep, let me tell you, a real black sheep who has left an entire unit, a family unit, a toxic family unit, they have discovered they've been dealing with narcissism in that family. They have been abused all their entire lives. Those guys, they're going to walk away, and I can guarantee you guys, when you're walking away, it's game over. So there's no coming back. There's no way back to a toxic family unit. So the concern, number one, will be, will those guys ever come to that conclusion or to the realization of seeing exactly what you have seen? or even sometime knowing, or even sometime understanding what you actually understand about the unit. That would be the first concern. Because you're out, you've left them there. You know what I mean? You've left them behind. You don't know what's going on with their lives. They are still there with the narcissistic parent. The narcissistic parent is still doing the same things that they used to do because, like you guys already know, those patterns will never break. So they are still there suffering in silence and in ignorance. So a lot of them, they are suffering in ignorance. And you as a black sheep, you're guilty because you have awakened, you know it, you've seen it, you understand it, you figured it out. And you worried with your brothers, your sisters back there. Can they ever come to that sense of awakening? I've told you guys in my videos, everybody awakens at their own time. Guys, let me tell you something. I blew the trumpet in those days. I used to blow the trumpet. I used to scream. I used to shout. Nobody was listening. I would tell them, guys, I would bring the facts in their nose on top of their face. They wouldn't understand it. They didn't know what I was saying. It was until they walked away. That's when they knew that, okay, so now we get it. This particular guy is very serious. What he's talking about is very serious, and he knows what he's talking about. They will usually know that you know what you're talking about. They will not only agree with you, however much they know what the truth is. Because a lot of those guys in those families, the whole idea is to sustain, is to preserve the family. You know what I mean? So a lot of family members, the reason why you see them usually ganging up on you is because they are trying to preserve that unit. They are trying to preserve the family, to make sure that that family stays intact in one place. Now you're walking away, you've disrupted the whole family unit. And a lot of them, they're going to gang up on you. You're going to become the bad one. You've always been the bad one anyway, but this time you're going to become the worst one. You can never, ever wake up those guys. It does not matter what you tell them. It does not matter how much crap you will talk to them, how much truth you will tell them. Nobody will wake up. They will never understand what you're saying. At least, apparently, at that moment, they will never actually understand what you're talking about. But as a black sheep, you will have that guilt. You will have that feeling in your mind that they don't get you. You know what I mean? You've walked away, they don't get you. They will never get you. Sometimes even worry that they will never get you. And usually, as a black sheep walks away, because when black sheep walk away from those units, they go out there, they start working on themselves, you know what I mean? They start to heal themselves, they work on themselves, and they do all these kind of little things to make sure that they come to a better place in their lives. And usually those black sheep, they're the ones who actually get the success. So those are the guys who go out from the entire unit, and they become completely successful after those units. So they'll go out and live their best lives. You know what I mean? Because they'll eventually, waking up will put you in a sense of enlightenment, in that position of enlightenment. So you will get enlightened. The more you get enlightened, is the more you start to make very nice conscious decisions about your life, which direction you want to go and what exactly do you want to do. So most of the times, the black sheep, they usually strive to go and move forward and move towards success. And usually, the black sheep, they will be the successful ones in those units. Because the only way you can achieve success is, first of all, stepping out of dysfunction. So you can only get success in your life after leaving those kind of dysfunctional families and getting out there to work on yourself. That is the only way you start to achieve success, the success you've never seen before. You will make conscious decisions. You will know what you want to do with your life. You will know where you want to go. You will know who you want to bring close. You will know who you want to be, who do you want to be a part of you. So most of the times you're making conscious decisions, and again you're getting enlightened. You're growing spiritually on a very spiritual level at a very faster rate. A rate that you've never seen before. So most of the times, you're heading for success. And sometimes, most of those guys, they even sometimes know it. They can feel it, that you're heading towards success. They can even sometimes smell it. You will be concerned about, as a scapegoat, as a black sheep, you will be concerned about the fact that your family, they will never wake up. So a lot of them in those units, they will never wake up. It does not matter how hard the truth hits them in the face. It will always happen that they will never wake up. So they will never actually come to that realization that they need to do something about themselves or about that unit. So they will never wake up. They will just keep the entire unit going, preserve the unit as long as it takes. It doesn't matter how hard the dysfunctional looks. They will always try to very hard to preserve the entire unit. That will be your first concern, number one. And secondly, you will also be concerned as a black sheep that it will become your new reality that now you're going to start missing out on so many things. You know what I mean? You're not going to attend funerals eventually. There will be sometime funerals, people will die in that family. You will not attend, because remember, guys, when you've left those entire units, you become a complete threat. You have always been a threat before your awakening, but now that you have awakened, you become a maximum threat to those units, because their existence depends on you, and they know it. That dysfunction, the existence of that dysfunction, it depends on you, and most of them, they know it, and that is why you become a maximum threat to those units, because they believe you're trying to bring down the family to the ground. So you will sometimes have to miss a lot of occasions. There'll be weddings, you'll miss weddings, you'll miss funerals, you'll miss Thanksgiving, you'll miss parties, you'll miss whatever. Whatever is going on with those units, you don't want to know. Because I can guarantee you, most of the times when you go back to those units, after you having awakened and left those units for a very big and major reason, you go back to those units, usually, I've told you in my videos, guys, it will never turn well with you. So, black sheeps, you have got to come to that realization and acceptance that your life will change eventually. Your life is going to change. Your life is going to continue moving to a positive direction. You will continue to grow. You will continue to strive for success. You will even sometimes be successful. Most of the times, they are the black sheep who actually become the millionaires in those entire units. So what happens is that you're worried. The life back home will never be the same. You know what I mean? The disruption will happen, the chaos will go on, of course the smear campaign will happen, but eventually you also notice as a black sheep, your concern, you're not going to be a part of that unit. Most of the times, I can guarantee you guys, forever. So it is a stop. Whatever's been happening in that unit is a stop, so it's the end of it. You're out of that place, you're not going back, you're not returning, you're not going to be a part of them. You may sometimes love them from a distance, because remember, black sheep, they're empaths. So the black sheep, they love people genuinely. But because your love has always been abused in that entire unit, now you're getting out of that unit and you're deciding to love those individuals from a distance. You want to keep them at a distance whereby they will no longer interrupt your existence or sometimes your decisions that you're making. Now you're starting to go out and validate yourself. For the very first time, you're choosing yourself, you're loving yourself, you're validating yourself. And that is something they cannot do. So it is a new reality of a black sheep, and something much of a concern that you will never be able to reach out to your family, to your ex-family and the family unit. You'll never be able to reach out. Even if you reach out sometimes, you will never be able to tell them exactly what is going on, because they are not ready to listen to you. And that sometimes it can be very painful, because you will be sometimes trying to explain to them something very serious in the unit. They will not be ready to explain to listen to you. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. So the truth will always stay with you as a black sheep. You'll go out there. You'll heal. You'll forget about weddings. You'll forget about funerals. You'll forget about Thanksgiving. You'll forget about all these little functions that used to go on in those units, and you'll move ahead to become a better version of yourself. So that being said, guys, let me know, of course, if this video makes sense to you. You can always leave us a comment in the section below. And until then, you can always book a session if you want to, donate and support to this channel if you want to. All the links you need, they are in the description below. Much love and blessings, guys. There's Amos signing out, and I'll catch you in my next one. Peace.